Hello and a very good afternoon to all of you. We warmly welcome you to the inauguration of the 4th International Conference on Real Estate Management and Valuation, ICREMV 2020. We hope you and your loved ones are safe at home. As we all know, we are living in turbulent times, which has not been experienced by humankind in near past. We have been required to live with the pandemic, to accept that as our new normal, and to continue with our day-to-day activities. So this might be challenging. Just like the saying goes, challenging times require creative and innovative measures. We at University of Sri Jayewardenepura are also firm believers of the notion, which is why, although this series of conferences, which was planned to be held in a hybrid format, meaning 2 sessions would have been held in a physical form, where 1 session would have been conducted via a virtual platform. Due to the situation in the country, it has been necessary for us to shift the conference to a fully online platform to abide by the regulations of the Health Ministry as well as for the safety of everyone. So here we are, accepting the challenge and meeting you via the Zoom platform on this pleasant day. We are indeed happy to see the participation. We are indeed happy to see all of you joining with us today. And we would like to invite you to stay tuned with us until the end of the program. And now, let's move on to a short introductory video clip on ICREMV 2020. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, we would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you, and we would like to invite all of you to stay tuned until the end of the program today. Although we do not look forward to any kind of technical disturbance midway, if it comes to that, we kindly request from you to bear with us until we resolve the said issues. So, as most of you might have known, this conference is organized by the Center for Real Estate Studies, Department of Estate Management and Valuation of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce of University of Sri Jayewardenepura. And we would like to, at this moment, make a special mention of our collaborative partners, and our academic partners would be the Construction Project Management Program, School of Housing, Building and Planning, Universiti Sains, Malaysia. And also we would like to acknowledge the Faculty of Humanities and Environmental Studies, Kyushu University, Japan. And also we could not forget our collaborative partners, Government Valuation Department of Sri Lanka, the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors of the UK, Institute of Valuers of Sri Lanka, Urban Development Authority Sri Lanka, Colombo Municipal Council, the EMV RCB Club, and the EMV crew. So ladies and gentlemen, ICREMV 2020 is brought to you by the collaboration of all these amazing institutes and people. And also, we would like to mention specially an honorary mention of all the guests who are joining with us today. Although on any other usual day, we would have invited all these people to come forward and light a traditional oil lamp. Since we are not in the same format today, we would like to make a special honorary mention on our chief guest today, Senior Professor Sampath Amaratunga, the chairman of the UGC of Sri Lanka. And as well as we would like to mention our guest of honor, Senior Professor Sudanta Liyanage, the Vice Chancellor of University of Sri Jayewardenepura. And also, we would like to mention the appearance of Professor P.D. Nimal, the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, as well as Dr. Mrs. Upuli Pereira, the Head of the Department of Estate Management and Valuation, and Senior Professor R.G. Aryawansa, Senior Professor of Department of Estate Management and Valuation, Dr. Mrs. Nishani Wickramaarachi, the Director for Center for Real Estate Studies of the Department of Estate Management and Valuation. And also, we would like to especially mention the appearance of Professor Andrew Baum, Professor of Practice Side Business School, University of Oxford, United Kingdom, who will be delivering our keynote speech for today, and as well as the chair of the conference, Dr. Pratap Kalutantri, as well as the joint secretaries of the conference, Mr. Terence Gunawardena and Dr. Lakshi Karnaratna. So having mentioned all of this, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that real estate is both the means and the outcome of sustainable development of a country. So in the current context, the economies of countries are heavily impacted by the socio-economic tensions, the natural environment changes, the political environment, and global trends than ever before. Therefore, the concept of real estate management and valuation has become a crucial ingredient for development of any nation, as well as concept of smart real estate has achieved center stage than ever before. So, through International Conference of Real Estate Management and Valuation 2020, we today hope to bring together the academics, practitioners, and scholars who are interested in research, who have conducted research on all aspects of real estate management and valuation, and to share their experiences, learnings, and to provide a platform for discussion on trends and opportunities and even challenges that are emerging in this sector. While we would like to warmly once again invite all of you to stay tuned with us, because the conversations today will be revolving around this thought process, I would like to most cordially, first and foremost, invite the chair of the conference, Dr. Pratap Kalutantri, to address all of you.
Thank you, Sandri. Good afternoon. Let us accept the bitter truth. The COVID-19 pandemic is one of the most significant crises of this century, with far-reaching consequences. Compared to two world wars and the Great Depression happened in the year 1930s, the world is struggling to find a new world order. Nobody is sure about how COVID-19 pandemic will end, whether we can discover a vaccine or whether we can need to learn how to live with it forever. The pandemic not only creates challenges to the health sector, but it also brings up changes that may affect all sectors and professions. In other words, it is trying to draw the limits of new normal forever. Within this framework, what should be done for human settlements, urban space, planning, housing and other real estate investments are still appear to be one of the discussion agenda. In this context, the smart technology become protocols or protectors of real estate. Therefore, the combination of state at home order and layoff has made the concept of digital transformation suddenly very tangible thing. Accessing critical information anywhere at any time for any device become a need to have basically overnight. So thus, we believe that the theme of ICREME 2020 pinpointed a timely topic, smart real estate, towards unmet socio-economic needs. The ICREM 2020 opened an avenue to discuss and review the impact of the global economy, global real estate and valuation, policy responses to COVID-19, and operational resilience, which reduce the socio-economic need gap of real estate. This conference itself a victim of COVID-19 pandemic, where we have to transform the physical conference to a virtual one. The fourth international conference becomes the first virtual in ICREM history. The conference will be continued for 4 days from today onward till 22nd October 2020. Even though we are in the virtual platform with our legacy of 2 national conferences and 3 international conferences, we move forward with academic sessions, industry dialogue, and research talk, real estate talk, making a platform for real estate academics and professionals to discuss research work, ideas, and practical scenarios. We believe that this virtual conference become the trendsetter of university history. I am confident that the outcome of this conference will become a policy paper for new world order. On that note, we like to welcome all who join us in this virtual environment. Head representative of key institutions related to real estate, both public and private sectors, as well as representative of key universities, our academic partners. In this moment, I am greatly honored to welcome our chief guest of the conference, Senior Professor Chair Professor Sampath Amaratunga, Chairman of University Grants Commission, guest of honor, Senior Professor Sudhanta Liyanage, Vice Chancellor of the University of Sri Jayewardenepura, Professor P.D. Nimal, Dean, Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, Dr. T.G.U.P. Pereira, Head, Department of Estate Management and Valuation, all the academic staff of the department, all the deans of different faculties of University of Sri Jayewardenepura, and all the heads and coordinators of Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce. Also, I would like to welcome our keynote speaker of the conference, Professor Andrew Baum, Professor of Practice, University of Oxford, representative of academic partners, including University Sains Malaysia and Kyushu University, Japan. Also, I welcome all the head of collaborative partners of ICREMV, includes Government Valuation Department, Urban Development Authority, Colombo Municipal Council, Institute of Valuers of Sri Lanka, RICS Sri Lanka Leadership Forum. So I warmly welcome Mrs. Pushpa Muthukumarana, Government Chief Valuer, Architect Harshana De Silva, Chairman, Urban Development Authority, Ms. Rohini Disanayaka, Municipal Commissioner, Colombo Municipal Council, Mr. A.M. Fathiu, President of Institute of Valuers of Sri Lanka, Mr. Shihan Bura, Chairman, RICS Sri Lanka Leadership Forum. Also, I welcome all the invited speakers, paper presenters, panelists, representative of State Management and Valuation Student Association, all the sponsors of the conference, Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, media partner of ICREMV, all the delegates who have registered with us. Also, I welcome collaborative partners, partner representative team who work as a spearhead of this success. Finally, I again welcome all senior academic members of the Department of Estate Management and Valuation who support me and strengthen me to reach this target. And also my young EMV academic team who work hard from home and remote location despite COVID-19 lockdown to reach this success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pratap. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the chair of the ICREMV 2020, Dr. Pratap Kalutantri. And with that, I would also like to invite yet another profound personality attached to the Department of Estate Management and Valuation next to address this gathering. He's a professor of real estate management and valuation of the Department of Estate Management and Valuation of University of Sri Jayewardenepura, and he holds BSc and MSc and PhD degrees from the University of Sri Jayewardenepura and MSc in Development Planning in London, UK. His wide and growing real estate education portfolio has led to impactful publications in the field of real estate management and valuation, and his academic leadership, outstanding contributions to undergraduates, postgraduate teaching and training, and the construction of an atmosphere of real estate business venture creations and innovations, and his national and international profiles in real estate management and valuation are commendable. So, we are indeed honored to have you here with us today, and I would like to hand over the session to you to address the gathering.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Chief guest of the ICREMV 2020, Senior Professor Sampath Amartunga, Chairman of the University Grant Commission, Sri Lanka, guest of honor of the conference, Senior Professor Sudanta Liyanage, Vice Chancellor of the University of Sri Jayewardenepura, keynote speaker Professor Andrew Bourne, Professor of Practice, University of Oxford, United Kingdom, Professor P.D. Nimal, Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, Dr. Opuli Perera, Head Department of State Management and Valuation, Dr. Nishani Vikramarachi, Director, Center for Real Estate Studies, Dr. P.C. Kalpantri, Chairman of the ICREMV 2020, and co-secretaries, Mr. Clarence Kunwardene and Dr. Lakshmi Karanayaka, professors and other academic colleagues, heads of departments, other deans, collaborative partners of ICREMV 2020, researchers, presenters, professionals, industry representatives, undergraduates and postgraduate students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm indeed privileged and pleased to have an opportunity to make a special speech on reflections of smart real estate in this inauguration ceremony of the ICREMV 2020, organized by the Department of State Management and Valuation, Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, University of Sri Jayewardenepura, with several collaborative partners. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme Smart Real Estate was introduced to the conference with a very distinct meanings. The 5 letters of SMART stand for 5 distinct concepts, such as S for sustainability, M for marketability, A for aspirations of society, R for rise of wealth, and T for transforming economy. In fact, real estate is the result of the process of transforming natural environment into economic products. Hence, real estate has to maintain 2 distinct relationships with natural environment and the economy. Therefore, analysis of interdependent relationship of these 3 components, economy, real estate, environment, will be helpful to understand their relative significance. In fact, the economy, so environment, can be identified as the naturally generated things, including the land. Meanwhile, the real estate can be identified as any mode of transformations of natural environment into sophisticated land uses for human needs. Economy, of course, is a system that generates wealth, production, contribution, consumptions of goods and services centered to so-called real estate. Therefore, it can be argued that sustainable real estate development, including social, cultural, political, economic, psychological, educational, environmental aspects, is very essential to maintain balanced relationship in addition to economic and business aspects. As you know, the 8th goal of sustainable development goal of United Nations also refers the significant importance of promoting decent work and economic growth, which will lead into sustained economic growth, higher level of industry and technological innovations, etc. In fact, for which sustainable real estate has a key role. Ladies and gentlemen, the national policy framework of the government of Sri Lanka, based on vista of prosperity and splendor, has also emphasized the need of people-centric economic development, development of physical resources, and sustainable economic environment management as significant areas. In achieving the sustainable development, Sri Lankan national policy framework of the government has targeted 4 outcomes: productive citizens, contained family, disciplined and just society, and prosperous nations. For this, of course, the vista of prosperity and splendor has introduced 10 key policies. Development of physical resources and sustainable environment management are two, which are very related to real estate development, while all the others are directly or indirectly related to real estate development. Therefore, it is expected that these 10 key policies are giving due considerations to economic, balance, social, economic, and environmental. However, if you go through the history, so far throughout the world, the man has been attempting to manage economy, real estate, and environmental relationships to maximize the social well-being. However, in this process, a massive damage to the environmental, natural environment, resources has been recorded. For instance, loss of forest has made a huge impact on the existence of all living beings on the earth by increasing global warming, damaging to biodiversity, increase of carbon dioxide, soil erosions, increase of earth slips, drying water springs, and reducing drinking water, reducing of food, quality of air and medicine, and so on. For instance, since 1990, it is estimated that some 420 million hectares of forest in the world have been lost through conversions of forest land into other land uses due to various real estate development throughout the world. In Sri Lanka, it has been recognized as one of the highest seawater polluter in recent past. The Sri Lankan people have only cut down more than 65% of forests during last few decades to supply houses and facilities for increased population, other development, constructions of major irrigations, highways, and urbanization in general. For the whole world is concerned, the World Food and Agriculture Organization has marked the ranked Sri Lanka as the 4th country with the highest rate of deforestation in 2010. Of course, it is recorded that the last recorded in the literature, as per the surveys, at least three trees are cut somewhere in the world in a second. During the last 15 years, 2/3 of global forest coverage has been reduced, while similar amount, that 2/3 of wildlife has been vanished from the world. So this has resulted that increase of environmental migrants, environmental asylum seekers throughout the world. Not only that, environmental sensitive migrants or environmental sensitive boundary villages, as Lankagama Nelu Gold District. So such experiences are throughout the world. So in general, as a whole, these have resulted unprecedented implication locally, globally or regionally or globally. For instance, currently, Sri Lanka records a increased amount of disasters, and such as floods, droughts, landslides, collapsing buildings, and so on. In Sri Lankan experience, in the world, climate change has become one of the world's biggest problems for all nations. Global warming due to increase of carbon dioxide, damaging to the ozone layer, raising of the mean sea level that will raise large amount of land areas in the world. So these are global issues. At present, drinking water in bottles is available even in rural areas of Sri Lanka and the world. What happens to the water, the very essential resources for the life? Therefore, I guess you will agree with me, in near future, maybe 10, 20 years time, oxygen packet or bottle or cans will be available in our groceries or supermarkets. So our children or grandchildren will have to install oxygen plants sometimes in their residential or building premises. What happens in future? In that day, our valuers sometimes will have to add plus points in estimated values of buildings and premises which are having oxygen plants. Similarly, how air-conditioned plants are taken into consideration at present. So in this circumstance, we have to answer some questions, maybe silly questions, having organized this type of conference. In what way should air-conditioned plants in our buildings be considered in estimated value? So it's a very small question. Second, is it a plus point or a minus point? In this regard, how should real estate deals with the economy, the market, and the environment? Who is responsible in managing economy, real estate, and environment relationships? Is it the planner, or a developer, or a regulator, or valuer? So those are small questions, however, we have to answer. In this way, how to respect for the environment while satisfying economy or market needs is a greater challenge faced by current real estates. Accordingly, real estate has a dual responsibilities, satisfying environmental conditions as well as economic conditions. Usually, the general market, transforms environmental resources into real estate, targeting merely the economic benefits that results more and more damage to the environment. Hence, I believe that the world needs smart real estate markets to produce smart real estates which are sustainable, marketable, in line with the aspirations of the society, raising the wealth. In fact, effective collaborations of economy, real estate, and environmental goals, I believe, can create smart real estate markets. Such smart real estate market will make sure, I believe, mainly the sustainability, that consequently make sure the other elements such as marketability, aspirations of society, raise of wealth, and transforming the economy, and vice versa. Therefore, for this, I can propose some simple actions to Sri Lanka to promote real estate, the smart real estate. So these may not be the complete solution, but some small actions. One, to implement all micro or individual projects in line with the macro or master plans, followed by prudent and genuine supervisions that is ground level implications of rules and regulation. That's must. Second, to raise the awareness of smart real estate, awareness of all individuals on smart real estate. For that, I think from school level educations to all citizens should be educated how to ensure the highest and best use, how to ensure the highest and best use of the limited land we have, that is 65,610 square kilometers of this island. So we should be able to make sure the highest and best use of this limited land. Third, ensure nationwide quality and standard practices of real estate. Fourth, adopt thrifty and frugality concepts in all individual real estate. So that is missing part, even our small premises. We don't care of the frugality and thrifty. So that is our historically practiced good things. So we believe we have to practice such things in our real estate. Sixth one, to use both qualitative and quantitative aspects in real estate assessment reports. And also, it is better to have comprehensive valuation reports, including social aspects on real estate. So those are few suggestions that we can adopt to make sure the smart real estate in Sri Lanka. Dear ladies and gentlemen, in concluding my speech, I would like to quote a statement from the Red Indian chief, Seattle's letter. The letter was written on 4th March 1854 to reply to the US President Franklin Pierce for his request of selling the Red Indian land to the US. In his letter, Seattle says that we love this earth as a newborn loves its mother's heartbeat. So if we sell you our land, love it as we have loved it. Care for it as we have cared for it. Hold in your mind the memory of the land as it is when you received it. Preserve the land for all children and love it as God loves us all. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I wish and believe that the ICREMV to be a very successful contributor in promoting smart real estates that maintains balanced relationship with the economy, the environment, and sustainable development of the country and the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your words of enlightenment, sir, and for sharing a wonderful set of words on a very current topic with us. Thank you very much for joining with us today as well, sir. And next, I would also like to invite another very important personality when it comes to the Department of Estate Management and Valuation, whose leadership has been steering her team towards success, and whose contributions have enormously contributed for the success of this conference as well as the previous conferences of ICREMV as well. Dear Madam, Dr. Mrs. Upuli Pereira, the head of the Department of Estate Management and Valuation, I would like to most cordially invite you to address the gathering.
Thank you very much, Sanduni. Senior Professor Chair Sampath Amaratunga, Chairman, University Grants Commission. Senior Professor Sudanta Liyanage, Vice Chancellor, University of Sri Jayewardenepura. Professor Andrew Baum, keynote speaker of the conference. Professor P.D. Nimal, Dean, Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce. Dr. Pratap Kalutantri, Chair, ICREMV 2020. Senior Professor Chair, R.G. Aryavansha, Dr. Nishani Wickramarachchi, Director, CRES. All heads of industry collaborative partner institutions of the conference. Representatives of academic partner institutions who are present here today. All heads of departments and all academic staff members, students, and all ladies and gentlemen for our presence here today. Very good afternoon to you all. The International Conference on Real Estate Management and Valuation is a very important calendar event for the department, for our faculty, and to the university, for our collaborative partners, and for our entire industry. It's the event we bring a platform for academics, scholars, and practitioners to share their experiences and research results under the spectrum of real estate management and valuation. And we know that COVID-19 has been a kind of a hot topic, and we talk a lot about how COVID-19 would impact on real estate. So this is a platform, a formal platform for all those academic scholars and practitioners locally, both internationally, to come together and discuss about it. It's also the event we take forward our big agenda over time. As Senior Professor Chair R.G. Arivansh spoke about, how real estate and its associated all these smart technologies should work towards achieving the true socio-economic needs of people. And with this COVID-19, the relevance of this topic has been increased ever before. And it's the event we question the status quo and attempt to see how theory and practice in the field connects in reality under different scenarios, because this is a platform not just for academics, but also for practitioners to come and see this connectedness and come and learn out of it and come and share their thoughts. And it's the event we hear the contemporary narratives. Of course, this year we will hear a lot about COVID-19 and how it challenges the real estate sector and what opportunities we can get out of that. And we will look for ways out of it and way forward from them. It's the event, particularly we provide space for our young undergraduates and postgraduates to make an impact to the industry from their scholarly work and enhance their spirit to pursue further research. And after all, it's the event that we have no fear to be smart and try out new experiences like the way we do right now. In response to COVID-19, we entered the virtual conference zone, which is the new normal for worldwide events. We had no hesitation about it. We experimented doing some of these elements of the conference in virtual mode last year, with having the aim of bringing sustainable practices to the event. And this year, with the current situation prevailing all over the world and in Sri Lanka particularly, we turned this conference within few weeks to the furthest virtual extent, which demonstrate our agility, readiness to change, and being resilient. Over the 47 years of history, the department engaged in research and practice in the field of real estate management and valuation at so many levels. Both undergraduate and postgraduate research projects of the department amounts to at least 70 per year. The external funds and USJ research grants received last year by our academic staff members exceeded 10 numbers. The scholars of the department, particularly the young academics, are now progressively being successful at publishing in high-impact journals. The department publishes its biannual journal, Sri Lanka Journal of Real Estate, and has established its Center for Real Estate Studies to pursue and embodies the research and professional practice spirit of the department. Within a shorter history, Center for Real Estate Studies of the department has contributed to various national and university level real estate management and valuation projects. And also now when we talk about 21st century and the way we tackle problems, we often see those, the kind of mechanism, often we see through partnerships for goals and or what we call as collaborations. So in that respect, I sincerely thank all our industry partners of the conference the Government Valuation Department, Urban Development Authority, Colombo Municipal Council, Institute of Valuers Sri Lanka, and Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. They have been collaborating with the conference all these years. Now this is the 4th conference, and they have been with us throughout all these 4 years. And their collaboration have been very humble and generous, and indeed that has become our absolute strength. Also, the Construction Project Management Program, School of Housing, Building and Planning, Universiti Sains, Malaysia, and Faculty of Humanities and Environmental Studies, Kyushu University, being the academic partners of the conference, it has shown the connectedness, the potential opportunities to leverage, and the nurture synergies between the institutions, between our department, between the universities, and between the faculties. Now, while I sincerely thank Professor Andrew Baum from Oxford University for accepting to deliver today's keynote speech, which is going to be a very interesting topic, like how real estate today would be influenced by technology, health, and climate. Those are 3 main topics that we talk a lot about. I welcome and look forward to turn this connectedness that we brought through this conference to some form of collaboration in future. I also extremely happy about the involvement of our student volunteering teams through EMV Crew and EMV RCB Club, because they have made the opportunities for themselves to improve the 21st century skills and build relationships. Also, I should mention Senior Professor Chair Sampath Amarathunga, Chairman, University Grants Commission, and Senior Professor Sudantha Liyanage, Vice Chancellor, University of Sri Jayewardenepura, and Professor P.T. Nimal, Dean of Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, for the generosity and the support giving to our department all times for all our endeavors, and that has been very much inspirational to us. With great attitude, I would like to remind the names of Senior Professor Chair R.G. Arivansha, Professor Padma Veerakon, retired Professor Janaki Edri Singh, and Dr. Nishani Wickramarachchi for developing this overall vision of this conference and putting up this conference and taking initial steps to execute this idea, and who pushed the conference to these early stages. A very big praise and congratulations to Dr. Pratap Kalutantri, the ICREMV Chair 2020, and his colleagues, Mr. Terence Gunawardhan and Dr. Lakshmi Karunaratne, the Joint Secretaries of ICREMV 2020, and the members of the organizing committee for dealing with all the teething troubles in this challenging year, and being very determined to stay positive rather than trying to give a miss to the conference this year. So big congratulations and big round of applause once again to the entire team from the department. So in closing, I wish all the good luck for the conference and invite all the participants to enjoy and benefit from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uppuli, for sharing your thoughts with us today. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would next like to invite another important personality for all of us at the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce. He is none other than Professor P.D. Nimal, the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce. Dear sir, I hand over the session to you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Senior Professor Sampath Amarathunga, Chairman, University Grants Commission, and Senior Professor Sudantha Liyanage, Vice Chancellor of the University of Sri Jayewardenepura, and Professor Andrew, the keynote speaker today, and Dr. Uppuli Pereira, Head Department of the Department, and Professor Aryavansa, Dr. Pratap, the coordinator or chairperson of the conference, and senior academic members of the department, and industry participants, and faculty members, students, administrative and non-academic staff, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude for inviting me for this inauguration ceremony. on the fourth International Conference on Real Estate Management and Valuation, organized by the Department of the faculty for the fourth consecutive time. This conference has its unique features such as the participation, both academics, practitioners, and students, especially wider contribution from the industry partners in the real estate sector. And of course, this is a challenging period where this COVID-19 pandemic has made a huge impact on almost all sectors and regions around the world, and has changed the way of thinking and way of doing things. Even we were forced to have this conference through an online virtual platform, where this has both positive and negative effects. Being in the academic sector, in fact, Professor Aryavansa explained how man-made disasters are made by the people. But if you look at this particular period, where the COVID-19 has made huge impact on almost everything. If you look at the education sector, according to the policy brief of United Nations in August 2020 on education during COVID-19 and beyond. In fact, it says COVID-19 pandemic has created the largest disruption of education systems in history. Largest destruction of education systems in history, affecting nearly 1.6 billion learners in more than 190 countries and all continents. Closures of schools and other learning spaces have impacted 94% of the world's student population, world population 94%, and up to 99% in low and lower middle income countries like ours. This crisis has increased the education disparities by reducing the opportunities for many of the most vulnerable children, youth, and adults, those living in poor and rural areas, girls, refugees, persons with disabilities, and possibly displaced persons to continue their learning. This report further highlights that learning losses also threaten to extend beyond this generation and erase decades of progress. Some 23.8 million additional children and youth may drop out or not have access to school next year due to the pandemic's economic impact alone. Look at the impact, economic impact alone. And then if you look at the impact of COVID-19 on real estate sector, again, according to the World Economic Forum held on 19th June 2020, the real estate sector has affected by the COVID-19 pandemic in unprecedented ways. And if we focus on the financial side, the impacts are already visible. As of 3rd April, the unlevered enterprise value of real estate assets had fallen 25% or more in most sectors, 25% or more in most sectors, especially hospitality and leisure. Some asset classes, especially those with greater human density, such as student housing, malls, and healthcare facilities, had the hardest shock and have already been sold off in considerable numbers. Even with the short-term benefits of increased e-commerce, the yield from logistics real estate could drop off as goods and human movement slow down. The lockdowns also reduced the expected rate of return for letting and construction considerably. The development of new sites has been delayed. Many normal human activities have been curtailed, and social distancing measures will put a drag on the ability of commercial premises to generate steady cash flows. On the other hand, the bright side is that consumer demand will probably shift towards more efficient properties. Especially the lockdown experience has demanded energy efficient buildings. When it comes to residential properties, where people will likely work from home, the lack of flexible spaces and efficient energy systems is set to drive new demand. For example, Italy, where the real estate sector's estimated drop in turnover is between 9 billion lira to 22 billion lira, compared with last year's Q1 results, is already experiencing a rising demand for high quality properties that offer a safe, efficient, and healthy living and working environment. And also, over the long term, real estate remains an attractive asset class. Investor appetite in certain segments of the market will rise, and sustainability will play a huge role. So you have an opportunity in that regard. Therefore, as we have to live with this crisis, maybe for more than 1 year or two, it is inevitable that we adapt and accept new ways in life, regardless of whether it is our profession or education or real estate sector. And it is our duty to ensure that this process is made as effective as possible, so as to guarantee that nobody gets left behind in the journey. As a conclusion, I hope that this conference should provide you with an opportunity to discuss and deliberate on new ways of addressing these issues, especially related to real estate sector, to move towards sustainable development. I wish the organizing committee all the best, and thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your thoughts with us today and for joining with our conference today. Your presence is much appreciated. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would next like to invite another very important personality for us at the University of Sri Jayewardenepura. He's none other than the Vice Chancellor of University of Sri Jayewardenepura, Senior Professor Sudantha Liyanage. So to brief about him a little bit to all of you, Senior Professor Sudantha Liyanage has earned his BSc from University of Sri Jayewardenepura and his PhD from the University of Wales, Cardiff in the UK, and he's a postdoctoral scholar of the Postdoctoral Research Fellowship of University of Cardiff in the UK, and many noteworthy awards and accolades he has won for his research contributions in areas of inorganic chemistry, inorganic synthesis, rubber chemistry, and water quality, and has held many noteworthy affiliations in the academia as well as in the industry. Sir, your presence here is very much appreciated, and we are honored that you are joining with us today, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the guest of honor for the day, Senior Professor Sudantha.
Good afternoon. Chief guest today, Professor Senior Professor Sampath Tamaratunga, then the keynote speaker, Professor Andrew Doves. So then the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, all the heads, members of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, and especially the members of the Management and Valuation family, and the members of the academic partners and the members of the collaborative partners. It remains pleasure that I participate to the inauguration session of 4th International Conference of Real Estate Management and Valuation. And I believe that the event will be a truly inspiring experience for all the participants. So this is the 4th consecutive year you all are organizing this event. This 4th ICREMV advancement that build on successful previous national and international conferences held by the Department of State Management and Valuation, as well as one of the key events organized by the Center for Real Estate Studies of the Department of State Management and Valuation of the University of Sri Jayewardenepura in collaboration with its industry partners. Real estate sector plays an integral role in a country's economy that contributes lots to the department of country. So it is very vital to understand the opportunities, challenges, and issues in the real estate sector and fully utilize those opportunities while addressing the issues and converting the challenges into strength for the economic development. The theme of the conference is Smart Real Estate. It is a novel and popular concept to explore in Sri Lankan real estate industry. Smart real estate can be discussed as having state problems and utilizing strength in to facilitate phosphorus economy. I'm very much happy that Center of Real Estate Studies, the research arm of the Department of State Management and Valuation, Smart Real Estate Unmet Socio-Economic Needs for ICREMV 2020, especially in the context of the global pandemic COVID-19, which has indisputably impacted the short-term economic growth, bringing expiration to the real estate sector in Sri Lanka. In this context, I believe the conference is an excellent platform for academics and practitioners to publish relevant and contemporary research papers on multiple avenues related to this timely theme. Also, I am certain that ICREMV 2020 will continue excellent dialogue that would stimulate interaction among the academia and the industry, aiding national development in the unprecedented time. With that remarks, I take this opportunity to congratulate the organizers and the practitioners for their invaluable contribution towards both the success of this event and the future of the real estate sector in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your words. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Senior Professor Sudhanta Liyanage, the Vice Chancellor of University of Sri Jayewardenepura. Once again, thank you for taking time to join with our program, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to move on to another very important milestone which will be achieved within this conference. We will be launching a book on COVID-19 and the impact of real estate market in Sri Lanka. So before we move on with the launch, let me brief you a little bit about this research arm of the Department of Estate Management and Valuation. The Center for Real Estate Studies of the Department of Real Estate Management and Valuation was established back in 2016 as the research arm of the department with the intention of contributing to the growing research need both locally and internationally concerning aspects of real estate management and valuation, as well as to bridge the gap between the academic theory as well as the commercial application in the sector. So during the COVID-19 period, the center was able to successfully hold a webinar series that included 4 important webinars on the impact of COVID-19 on real estate market in Sri Lanka 2020 through the book that we are going to introduce to you in a short while. So the contents of these 4 valuable webinars were transcribed by CREMV in order to make them available to the general public. So to officially launch this book, I would like to most cordially invite Dr. Mrs. Nishani Wickramarashee, the Director for Center for Real Estate Studies of the Department of Estate Management and Valuation.
Okay, thank you very much, Sanduni, and good afternoon, everybody. Our chief guest, Senior Professor Sampath Amarathunga, Chairman, University Grant Commission. Guest of honor, Senior Professor Sudhanta Liyanage, Vice Chancellor, University of Sri Jayewardenepura. Dean, Professor P.D. Nimal, Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce. Keynote speaker, Professor Andrew Baum, University of Oxford, United Kingdom. Dr. Mrs. Supuli Pereira, Head of the Department, Conference Chair, Dr. Pratap Kalutantri, and co-secretaries of this conference, Mr. Terence Gunawardhan and Dr. Lakshi Karunaratna, all the collaborative partners of the conference, all the academic members of the department as well as the faculty, invitees, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. So it is with great pleasure the Center for Real Estate Studies, CRES, the research arm of Department of Estate Management and Valuation, presents this book today at this memorable occasion. The book is titled as COVID-19 and the Impact of Real Estate Market in Sri Lanka. The speciality of the book is the total content is depend on the series of webinars conducted by the CRES during the first lockdown period of Sri Lanka, that is from mid-March to mid-June in 2020. The center usually do research and consultancies in the field of real estate valuation and management, but unfortunately during this COVID-19 period, the center was not being able to continue the research since it was highly prohibited going to field. But the center introduced a series of webinars with certain topics that were very much important to the government as well as to the society. There were 4 webinars and all the webinars were moderated by a senior member of the department. And free access was given to those webinars either to academics as well as to the professionals, but mainly focused on the undergraduates as well as the postgraduate students of the department. However, it was the view of the audience that mere circulation of the audios won't be much, but transformation into a kind of reading material would be very much worth. Hence, all the efforts have been taken to transfer these webinars into a book. Accordingly, there were 14 speeches in these 4 webinars with certain interesting topics such as real estate market in Sri Lanka, smart network opportunities, vertical living a challenge, resilience, recovery, reality and research in tourism, urban agriculture, potentials and challenges are some of those exciting areas. Let me briefly introduce those speakers who have contributed to the success of this book. That is Senior Professor R.G. Arivansha, Professor Padma Veerakon, Mr. H.M. Prematilaka from University of Sri Jayewardenepura, Professor Suranga Silva from University of Colombo, Professor Champa Navaratna from University of Ruhuna, and Mr. P.W. Senaratna, former Chief Valuer, Mr. D. Pratap Singh, Managing Director, Pratap Chartered Valuation and Consultancy Private Limited, Mr. Suranga Piris, Head Sales, Colombo City Centre, Mr. P.L. Silva, Managing Director, Design Advocacy Private Limited, Mr. Shihan Mora, current RICS President of Sri Lanka Forum, Mr. Dilip Mudandeniya, CEO, Cinnamon Life Mall, Ms. Bhagya Mahavitanage, Assistant Director, Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, Planner Indu Veerasuri, former Director, Urban Development Authority, Planner K. Jayaratna, Managing Director of Savanatha Urban Resource Center. So it is my view that there is no hesitation. These webinars strengthen the bonds between the academic as well as the industry, so as the content of the book. So as I explained, this is a collaborative effort. Hence, as the director of the center, I sincerely acknowledge the unconditional inputs of all speakers, moderators, translators, editors, designers, and finally, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Conference Chair 2020, Dr. Pratap Kalutantri, for accepting to publish this book within the conference budget. Thank you very much for you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nishani, for joining with us and sharing about the contents of the book with the conference today. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of the conference also, I have mentioned you that this conference was not just the product of the effort of a few people, but there are a number of helping hands behind bringing this project to a reality. So now we would like to acknowledge the help extended by one such institution. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now join in with a short video clip which has been sent to us by our main academic partner, the Kyushu University of Japan. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And that was our main academic partner, the Kyushu University of Japan. And now moving on to the much awaited segment of today's conference, the address by the chief guest of the program for today. He is a very familiar face for all of us, and it's none other than Senior Professor Sampath Amarathunga. First, let me tell you a little bit about him before we move on to his speech. Senior Professor Sampath Amarathunga holds a BA Honours in Economics from University of Sri Jayewardenepura, Sri Lanka, and MA in Economics from University of Colombo, Sri Lanka, MSc in Economics of Rural Development from Saga National University, Japan, and earned his PhD at Kagoshima National University in Japan. And he has won several awards, including the prestigious Research Excellence Award of the Kyushu Society of Rural Economics, Japan, and has over 75 referred publications, both locally and internationally. And it's not an unfamiliar face for all of us in Sri Lanka, the current chairman of the University Grants Commission, and also a part of our family, the former Vice Chancellor of University of Sri Jayewardenepura, as well as former Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce of the university. And we would also like to especially thank him for joining with us today amidst all these turbulences, because we are sure all these conditions must be keeping you up on your toes, sir. So with all due respect, I would like to hand over the session to you.
Thank you, Sanduni. Very good afternoon from Sri Lanka. Vice Chancellor, University of Sri Jayewardenepura, Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, Head Department of Estate Management and Valuation, and also the Director of the Center of Estate Management and Valuation, and colleagues, and especially the keynote speaker from University of Oxford, and ladies and gentlemen. So here in Sri Lanka, we are experiencing another wave in COVID. And the COVID battle was taken place during the first 6 months of 2020. And we have managed very well as a country. And even this wave is managed by His Excellency the President and three forces and the society of here. And that is why actually we are open still. All universities are open and we are connected online and working with everyone. This particular department is one of the most important departments in our country. This is the only department we have in our country to study land and real estate in our country. Not only that, they have an excellent master's program as well. And on top of this, what is important is they were accredited by the Royal Body of Real Estate and Valuation in UK. So that shows the credibility, the potential and efficiency and the output as a department enjoy today. So this COVID-19 have taken us to a different world. We are in a middle income category when it is come to income categorization. And we have reached to the upper middle income level, even though we are now reached to upper middle income, we were not used technology when it is come to business or in education as expected by everybody. I would say we were lagging behind the expected level. But somehow with this COVID-19, the total mindset of people have now been changed and we function as a new country. All universities are now online, teaching and learning 100% working online. The only segment that we have to activate when it is come to national universities is examination. So we have not decided so far to activate this examination part, mainly because poor students who are engaged in higher studies cannot afford a laptop, may get the disadvantage of online examination. So government has taken steps in order to overcome this as well. And from this year onwards, students are getting computers as a loan when they come to universities. So what I want to mention here, as a country, even though we were lagging behind when it is come to technology, now the mindset has taken place and we are now placed in a very good position to go for this smart concept. So we are building up smart universities. According to the government, very soon we are going to come out with Sri Lanka's first virtual university. Nobody knows where VC is or deans and the Senate hall, nothing. But we are going to have students from all over the country, or even from the region, at least from India, Bangladesh, Nepal and other countries, neighboring places. And we are going to set up this. And most of the businesses today, now we take place online. Everybody knows what is needed is machine-to-machine technology. We were lagging behind this technology, but because of the computer literacy rate of the population and the enthusiasm of students and the society, now we are on board developing our mindsets in order to develop nation in future. So when it is come to real estate management, as I said, this is the only degree program available in Sri Lanka to study land, and this is also located at the country's best school of business, and where we get highest demand at the moment, and lot of things to explain, but I believe that I should not take much time. So thank you very much inviting me for the forum, and I would like to wish all the very best for all participants, and especially the department and the university and the faculty as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining with us today amidst your very busy schedule, and for your contribution to hold the pieces together of the system in this turbulent time. Once again, thank you very much, sir, for your words. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to join with a participant who will be talking to you from all the way back in the UK. The keynote speech for the day delivered by Professor Andrew Baum. Before we move on to his speech, I would like to speak a few words about him. Professor Andrew Baum has a combined academic and business life for the last 25 years, developing an expertise in property finance, property development, property funds, and international real estate investment. He holds BSc, MPhil, and PhD degrees from the University of Reading in the UK. He is also a Fellow of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors and a qualified member of Institute of Chartered Financial Analysts UK. He is the author or co-author of several textbooks with combined sales of over 60,000. He has been rewarded with many awards and prizes as well. He holds and has held numerous executive and non-executive positions in a number of leading institutions and organizations. He founded and operated several successful property research and investment companies, RES in 1990 and OPC in 2001, for instance. Professor Baum released a groundbreaking report detailing the dramatic changes facing the real estate industry, titled PropTech 3.0, The Future of Real Estate. It was the most downloaded Oxford Side report in 2017. Professor Andrew was also voted one of the top 3 most influential people in PropTech in the 2017 Lend Invest list. He was appointed Emeritus Professor at Reading in 2013. He was Honorary Professor of Real Estate Investment at the University of Cambridge from 2009 to 2014, and a Fellow of St. John's College, Cambridge from 2011 to 2014. He is a visiting professor at the Kenan Fletcher Business School, University of North Carolina, USA, and was appointed visiting professor of management practice at the University of Oxford in 2013. Professor Baum's research focus is on cross-border real estate investment, innovation, emerging markets, property funds, and PropTech. We are indeed honored to have such a profound personality in the field joining with us today. And before we move on to his speech, here's a small introductory video clip on Professor Andrew Baum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just been informed that Professor Baum is experiencing a little technical difficulty, hence not joining with the conference at the moment. While we are trying to establish the connection with him, we would like to share this short video clip on University Sains, Malaysia, who is also one of our academic partners who are joining with the program today. Can we share the video clip, Hashini? Ladies and gentlemen, that was one of our main academic partners, Universiti Sains of Malaysia. We would also like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you for joining hands with us today in bringing out a conference of this caliber. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to make this a point to remind you about the flow of this conference of ICREMV ICREMV 2020, because this will be actually going on as a 4-day conference, where today we will be having the inauguration session, and on 20th of October, that is tomorrow, we will be having the academic session, which is aimed to discuss scientific work on contemporary and long-term impacts of COVID-19 on the real estate market and its implication for real estate professions. So we would like to see you joining with our academic sessions as well. And this will be followed to day 3, 21st of October, where we will be having an industry dialogue, where we hope to facilitate industry experts to discuss post-COVID-19 implications on local and global real estate market. And the final, on the 22nd of October, will be an integral part of the conference, actually, because we aim to share knowledge and to build relationships between academia and the industry practitioners. And cross-sector panelists will be insisted to hold the discourse around the conference theme, Smart Real Estate Towards Unmet Socio-Economic Needs, where the audience could definitely get immersed with listening and as well as interacting. So we would like to send an open invitation to all of you to join with us on the on these following days of the inauguration session as well. And I have more good news, because we have just received information that Professor Baum has just now joined with the conference. Sir, can you hear us properly?
Yes, I can hear you, thank you. Can you hear me?
Great. Yes, perfectly clear. So I would like to hand over the session to you, Professor Baum.
Okay. Let me try and share my screen. I hope that works. And I hope that now you can see my slides.
Yes, we can see them.
Okay, that's great. So I'd like to thank you for the invitation to be your keynote today. And I'd like to send my best wishes to the University of Sri Jayewardenepura, to the University of Science Malaysia, and to Kyushu University. And congratulations to the organisers of the 4th International Conference on Real Estate Management and Valuation. It's a great effort to make this happen in difficult circumstances. And I only wish that we were all together in Colombo and enjoying the wonderful Sri Lankan hospitality. So hopefully we can do that at another time. What I'm going to talk about today is the connection between all of the real estate impact issues like climate, health, well-being, and technology, which is bringing together the possibility of creating a better real estate world. Before the COVID crisis, there was a lot of conversation in the real estate market about the importance of impact. So we've heard a lot about social impact. We also hear a lot about ESG. 10 years ago, we heard a lot about sustainability. Impact is very important in real estate. If we define impact as material change made to key populations or ecosystems in alignment with social, environmental mission objectives, which can be measured. The real estate world is extremely important. By some measures, real estate is 50% of the world's assets. Everybody needs somewhere to live. Everybody needs somewhere to work, and so on. So material change in the real estate industry is inevitably going to have huge impact. And we need to discuss how we do create that impact more and more. And the question constantly arises, are we as an industry doing enough? And are we as educators doing enough to push the real estate industry into a place where it does conform to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the UN? Or do we really understand enough about carbon and what makes a really low carbon building? On this slide on the left-hand side, we have a picture of the biggest office building in London right now. It's just about complete. It's called 22 Bishopsgate. It's over 1 million square feet. And this was promoted as a low carbon building to me in a conference this year. And yet the amount of steel and concrete that's being put into this building has got a huge embedded carbon cost. And we don't yet know really how to measure the benefits of energy efficient new buildings against the embedded carbon cost of construction. So we're still at a very early stage in understanding how climate is affected by buildings and what a really low carbon building or built environment really means. So we continue to have to ask this question, are we doing enough? A young lady in Norway certainly thinks we're not doing enough, and she's had a huge impact on the world, and she's had a huge impact on the real estate world. So Greta Thunberg has changed the agenda, and I think she's increased the responsibility on us all to think about the impacts of climate change. We're seeing more flooding, we're seeing different temperatures, and we're forcing migration. So climate change will create migration. That will create the need for housing. It will create the need for sensitive real estate, and it will create political change as well, which are addressed towards those goals. And of course, even in developed countries like the UK, we have a housing crisis. So even before we see mass migration from Africa, for example, we don't have enough homes in the UK for the UK population, so that the UK is supposed to be building or needs to build 300,000 homes a year. We've been building between 100 and 150,000 homes a year. So we have a growing housing crisis even before we add the pressures that are going to come from migration. And of course, political change, such as we see in the US, building a wall between Mexico and the US, and in the UK, which has decided to leave the European Union, these are pressures brought about by potential migration because of people's fear about lack of space and lack of enough homes. The real estate industry then has to develop a pretty clear view about ESG. And there is plenty of evidence that real estate asset managers do think about ESG quite a lot. So in a UBS survey, 100% of participants said yes, they did have a policy about energy. But a green world needs people to be really engaged about this topic, and thinking about it, having a policy about it is one thing, but doing something, making real differences is another thing. So we have to think about what are the challenges that we have in the environment, in social aspects, and in governance. So if you look at environmental challenges first, the statistics are quite strong. So the built environment sector consumes 40% of global energy. 20% of global greenhouse gas emissions come from buildings. This is expected to increase by 56% in the next 10 years. Buildings are using 40% of raw materials globally, and the cost of producing those raw materials is often more carbon, more climate change as a result. And so we have these stark statistics about our carbon footprint as an industry, which is enormous, absolutely enormous, the most important industry in the world regarding carbon. The World Economic Forum knows that the real estate industry is very important. We're starting to see more recognition of real estate as an industry, which is important to the world. It's been the case that in many global business schools, for example, real estate simply isn't part of the agenda. But one of the things that's happened in the last year has been an increase in the recognition of real estate as an important topic, above and beyond housing and into commercial real estate. So organizations like the BBC at last are starting to ask for academics' opinions about the future of commercial real estate, the use of the office, the death of retail space, and increasingly the impact of the built environment on climate change. So the impact of real estate is being increasingly recognized, and it's being pushed to the front of an agenda which hopefully universities will respond to. One of the problems we have is that we have an industry out there which believes that it is starting to deal with energy efficiency through building ratings like BREEAM, LEED, and so on. And yet the empirical evidence suggests that there is very little connection between these BREEAM ratings, so the standard ratings of high quality buildings, and their energy efficiency. So this slide, so far, it shows that there is something like a 12% rent increase for high quality well buildings in the West End of London. And there is evidence that building owners will receive about 0.5% more yield by buying a highly rated energy efficient building. However, the operating expenses will be higher for that building. So you will get more yield, but you'll be paying higher expenses. And the most worrying statistic is that on average, buildings are 4 times less efficient in operation than they're intended to be in design. So an architect can produce an energy efficient building, but because the occupants and the investors are not familiar with how to operate that building, the building is no longer efficient. So we produce BREEAM excellent buildings, but these buildings can be incredibly energy inefficient. And one of the reasons why is because we have a conflict of interest or agency effects between developers, investors, and occupiers of space. So often the developer is building a building speculatively. The investor is buying it without being involved in the design, and the occupiers of the building have not been consulted about the design of the building. And the result is that we end up with less efficiency than we should have. If we move on to the social side of ESG, the fundamental question that the COVID-19 crisis has created is should people work at home? We're in a world where the majority of people, of course, commute to an office building in a central business district. The COVID crisis has given people a lot of opportunity to see what it's like to work from home. And a lot of people are saying they prefer to work from home. Employers have often, I think, made big mistakes by saying that they're prepared to allow people to work from home when actually their businesses are going to be damaged as a result of it. But there's no question that employers have to think about the social well-being of their employees. Now, there's no evidence that working from home improves well-being. There is no evidence that working in an office reduces well-being. In fact, there's growing evidence that people need to be in an office building which is well managed, provides the right environment, provides the right facilities in order to increase the productivity and well-being of the employee. For the typical corporation, rental costs and energy costs are a small part of the total bill of running a company. The biggest part of that bill is staff costs. So 90% of the cost of running a business is staff. So the one thing you need to focus on is your staff's productivity, your staff's well-being. And the building needs to provide an envelope for creating that well-being. Now, we know that building factors like lighting, noise, temperature, ventilation, furniture, the amount of space per employee, all of these things have an impact on productivity. And there are studies of varying quality which measure the impact on productivity of high quality ventilation, noise reduction, good quality lighting, and so on. And we also know that there's a strong correlation between the profitability of a business and employee satisfaction. So if a business creates a good building, the good building produces more employee satisfaction, happiness, well-being, and productivity, and that leads to more profit for the organization. So healthy buildings are currently very, very popular. And the building I showed you a picture of, 22 Bishopsgate, has something like 15% of its space dedicated to things like yoga studios, gyms, healthy food markets, contemplation space, and so on. I mean, who am I to tell the Asian market how to produce wellness and contemplative space? I think you've been doing that for a lot longer than we have in the UK. And then finally, governance, the way in which real estate is managed is a large problem. And the key problem that we have is that we have an agency effect which limits the productivity and the efficiency of the space. So this graph is showing that the lease type will have an impact on energy efficiency. So if we have a long lease where the responsibility for managing the building, repairing the building, and so on is delegated to the tenant, then there is less connection between the development process and the operation of the building. So leases are very important in determining who is responsible and who gets the benefit of energy efficiency and productivity, for example. So we have this split incentive problem. So a split incentive problem is a problem where the developer might be responsible for producing energy efficient systems, but the tenant is the person who has to pay for those systems through energy costs and is not consulted in the design of the building. So that there are a whole set of different split incentives that we need to think about. And the only way to avoid these split incentives, if you think about the purist play model, would be a corporation designing, building, and operating its own office building. And we're seeing that more and more with the big technology companies. So people like Amazon, Google, Facebook are increasingly taking the responsibility for designing their own workspaces in order to control not only the well-being and productivity of their employees, but also the energy costs and the carbon footprint of the buildings. So I'm asking everybody to think about this issue. The lease structure is a barrier to creating efficient space. And we need to think about how we get through this model in order to create efficient spaces. So to think about ESG, I mean, if we ask the question, what is the real estate industry doing about ESG generally, the answer is not enough. And wherever we look, we think that we have the answer to some things when we clearly don't. And we have split incentives which prevent efficient solutions. And we have an industry which, frankly, spends too much time marketing itself and not enough time doing things which will improve the environment. So this is a natural sort of break point in my talk, and the break point is about technology. So something clearly is happening in the world through the fourth industrial revolution. This is the second wave of technology innovation that I've seen in the real estate market. The first wave was probably 1999, 2000, the dot-com boom, the telecoms boom. During that period, we created the World Wide Web, email, internet sites. We started to see houses being sold or advertised through platforms rather than through paper and estate agents' shops. So the second technology wave, we think, was kicked off in 2008. And in 2008, we had two things happening. The first thing was the global financial crisis, which created a lack of trust in traditional professionals, lack of trust in the banking system, fund management, investment advisors, lawyers, and so on. And in the same year, Apple launched the App Store. So the iPhone was launched in 2004. By 2008, we had the iPhone 4 and the App Store. And the App Store created this way of connecting product with individuals. And I like to talk about the world being full of rooms. So simply, if you think about the world is just full of it's just billions of rooms, and it's full of billions of people. And those billions of people are trying to access billions of rooms, whether it be for hotel space, housing, office space, retail, shopping, whatever it is. You know, the world is just full of people trying to enter lots of rooms. And before the 2000s, we had very inefficient processes for connecting the people with the rooms. So the App Store was massively significant because it created the connection between the rooms and the people. So you now have the possibility of creating an app which billions of people can go onto to search for billions of rooms. And of course, that led to the launch of Airbnb. Airbnb is a unicorn, $1 billion real estate tech business, if you like. And this sort of combination between the App Store and a desire for change amongst younger people has created this wave of prop tech. So I'm sorry about this complicated picture that's in front of you at the moment, but it's trying to pick out the main things that are going on in the world of technology and real estate. At the bottom, you see data digitalization. Everything is coming from digitalization. So real estate data has to be digitalized in order to make it intelligent and usable. On the left-hand side, you see the word exogenous tech, which is the world of big technology as it affects real estate. So driverless cars, drone deliveries, for example. I had a call this morning, for example, with a student of mine who graduated several years ago. He's from the Maldives. He is now investing in drone technology in the Maldives because the Maldives is a group of islands that are spread out. Drone deliveries are perfect for delivering packages, for delivering healthcare, personal protection information, and so on. So drone deliveries, transportation technology, creating exogenous shocks into the real estate world. So the shape of cities will change. The way in which we build buildings and concentrate buildings will change. And that will create smarter cities. But right in the middle of prop tech, we've got three things going on. We have the shared economy. So Airbnb is about the shared economy. It's about using space more efficiently. It's about the occupation of space. We have construction technology driving smart buildings. As we've been discussing already in this conference, smart buildings are a huge part of the prop tech agenda. So construction architecture driving smart buildings, which is part of the prop tech world. And then finally, we have fintech driving financial technology and real estate fintech. So things like housing portals, iBuyers, using artificial intelligence to value houses and so on is part of the prop tech world. So we're going through a wave now that started 10 years ago or so of prop tech, and we have a database of something like 7,000 prop tech businesses. The amount of money going into these businesses is getting bigger and bigger every year. We're now going through a consolidations phase where we're seeing mergers and consolidation of these prop tech businesses, and we're trying to push and create a slightly different world. So how are these prop tech businesses going to contribute to an ESG agenda? And I think that's where we can go next. So the second half of this talk then is about the way in which technology can be a catalyst for sustainable change. The use of new technology is essential in order to create a range of sustainability key performance indicators, and that's where we're heading. So technological breakthrough is going to help us to push the ESG agenda. So if we look at the three components of ESG again, if we look at the environmental issues first, how will technology be used to drive the environmental agenda? Well, there's a whole set of sensor technology and building intelligence technologies, the Internet of Things, building information management systems, and so on, which will help us to create more efficient buildings. So we see companies like WeWork using sensors to measure the occupancy of a room and to measure the heating in a room, so that you can now do a simple thing like connecting the temperature in a room with the usability of that room. And if a room is empty, the temperature should be automatically switched down so that you don't need to spend so much energy on that room. So the use of sensors can create much more efficient use of buildings, and it can also forecast what needs to be done to a building to make it popular for occupiers. So centrally managed sensor systems are likely to be used to promote energy efficiency. As a sort of a side talk to this, by the way, if you can imagine health sensors for rooms, imagine how many sensors you would sell if you created a health sensor for a room right now. So that we can envisage a world in 5 to 10 years' time where not only will the buildings be energy efficient, but they'll also be measuring their own health and admitting only healthy people into those rooms. Well-being is going to be the big agenda from now on. So we talk about health. So the possibility to create a health sensor is something that will be worked on. It's being worked on now by engineering companies. The opportunity to create wearables which measure our own health and will allow us to enter a building or prevent us from entering a building. It's already being done. I mean, in my building, my business school in the University of Oxford will not allow me to enter the building if I have a heightened temperature. So we already are in this system where we're using sensors to prevent people from entering rooms if they're not healthy. We'll also then develop workable workplace wearables, which will collect biometric data to enable businesses to make adjustments to working conditions in order to improve the productivity and well-being of their staff. And we'll also see, I think, an increase in tenant experience apps. If you think about the difference between running an office building and running a hotel, the management of a hotel is collecting data all the time about their customers. So if we're talking about the retail market, individual customers, B2C, then the hotel operator is collecting B2C information about the type of rooms that individuals use, what they like to buy from the minibar, what meals they order, how long they stay, how far they travel, whether they need car parking. All of this information is collected by hotels. They also have a B2B platform so that they will know what the businesses who block conference space want. And they'll also have a platform business so that they will be interested in what Booking.com or TripAdvisor or any similar experience app will tell them. So they're relating to the market through B2C, B2B, and platforms. The owner of an office building typically doesn't think that way. They don't really think about B2C because they don't have a strong connection with the people sitting at the desks. You think about a pension fund owner of an office building has no relationship with the person sitting at the desk. There might be 3 layers between them: a property manager, a facilities manager, an asset manager, a joint venture partner, and so on. So what I think we can envisage in future is more use of these sorts of concepts when we're running office buildings. And flex office providers like WeWork have introduced this idea of developing a community of occupiers of space whose behavioral data will be of value, whose health will be valuable, and where some sort of tenant experience platform can be expected to grow to give feedback to the office owner and operator on how good his building is. And of course, the younger generation can be expected to be extremely aware of energy and efficiency. And they will be feeding back information through the system about wasted energy, things like heating being left on in empty rooms and so on. So this feedback loop is going to develop where the occupier, the customer, is going to start pushing the owner into a more energy efficient space. And then finally, governance. How will we improve the split incentive problem, or the conflict of interest, or the agency effect, which prevents buildings from being operated in the way they should be operated in the conception of the architect? And earlier in the talk, I spoke about the lease being a barrier to efficiency, this separation between the design of the building and the operation of the building, which is often by a completely different set of people from those for whom it was designed in the first place. And this is all about governance. So here we have my, my schematic that the world is full of millions of desks, and it's full of millions of workers. Those millions of workers are trying to access those millions of desks. Now, one of the interesting questions I think that's come out of the COVID crisis is, number one, if you can't work in your office in the CBD, is working from home the best answer? Or should you be working in a more specific space, a third space, for example, like flex offices? And the connection between home working, working in a traditional office, and this concept of the third space, the flex office space, is starting to be explored. So what do we need in order to collect millions of workers with millions of desks? We need an app. So right now we see companies who are starting to build data sets of spaces, and those spaces could be churches, concert halls, theatres, municipal spaces like libraries, pubs, hotels, restaurants. So a company called Spacious in the US has been providing restaurant space to office workers for several years already. So how do we use apps to connect space with people? And this technology is being used and being employed more and more, so that eventually we'll see that there'll be shorter and shorter leases associated with flexible working, and we'll start to see this building up of B2C space in the office market, so that we'll then see direct feedback from the user of the space, who will be energy conscious, charge for energy as well, feeding back the information to the building owner. So imagine a world where we don't have leases, occupiers, office workers. We have self-employed people using an app to find space to go to work in, and to pay a combined rate for energy and the space, and doing that on a real pricing basis, so that if the space is empty, the price will come down. Once that starts to happen, you break through the conflict of interest, you break through the split incentive problem, and you then directly connect the consumer of space with the owner and probably developer of space. And we end up with a more energy efficient environment with better well-being and better productivity. So it looks as if the future of real estate ESG is going to be brighter than the history of it because of the use of technology. We're going to have accurate occupancy monitoring. So empty rooms will not be heated. We're going to have smart building technology, which will tell us more about how the building is being used, what sort of space is popular, what sort of space is productive. We'll have tenant feedback loops through wearables, where the information about the human being is delivered to the center in combination with data about the building. So are people happy, healthy in spaces which are well lit, well ventilated, and so on? We're going to see a rapidly growing market for flexible workspace. Personally, I believe that people should not be working at home more than a small amount of time. I have to say, to be honest, I've been doing this for 6 months and I'm going nuts working at home. It would be much better. It's much better when I go to Oxford or when I go to London. And if I can't do that, then I want some third space. I want somewhere where I can go and meet people, to work in a healthy environment with good coffee, good broadband, and so on. So there's going to be a rapidly growing market for flexible workspace. We're going to see office brokerage and smart building platforms, which will find it much easier to lease space that is healthy. And we're going to see rent premiums for buildings that satisfy these new ESG measurements, so that we then start to internalize the economics of healthy buildings, whereas currently they seem to be externalized because of the split incentive between the developer, the owner, and the occupier. So when we get to the point where buildings that are better for people earn higher rents, and those higher rents are associated with more efficient energy as well, then we end up with a benign scenario in the built environment. I'm coming to the end of my talk, well within the hour I was allocated, so I hope that's not going to cause any difficulties. I'd like to point you towards our research publications at the University of Oxford Future of Real Estate Initiative. So if you Google University of Oxford Future of Real Estate, you'll see a set of publications about these topics. This year we produced PropTech 2020, the Future of Real Estate, and several other large monographs about these issues. There's our link. Please simply look at Oxford Future of Real Estate. Thank you again for inviting me to be the keynote speaker at the 4th conference. And I wish you all an excellent week with some great insights. And I'd be delighted if anybody has any questions to answer them. If not, I'd like to hand you back to the organizers and to Sandini. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again, Professor Baum, for joining with us today from all the way back in UK, although we did experience a slight difficulty in establishing connection with you. It was a very insightful and enlightening session, and we are really glad that you had time to join with us, and we are indeed privileged and honored that you could join with us. But before you go, we would also like you to join in with a small documentary video about our university, as well as a small video clip that we have prepared. Once again, thank you very much for taking time, Professor Baum. It was indeed a privilege to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the keynote speaker for the day, Professor Andrew Baum, joining with us from all the way back from UK. And now we would like to join you with a small video clip, a documentary video clip regarding the University of Sri Jayewardenepura.
A place like no other, they say, is the University of Sri Jayewardenepura, located just 15 kilometers away from Colombo, nesting over 10,000 students coming from varying parts of the country to obtain their higher education. Marking the renaissance of Pirivnu education, Jaipur is recognized as one of the most mature and picturesque state universities of country, offering courses and programs leading to officially recognized education degrees, such as bachelor degrees, master degrees and doctorate degrees in several areas of study.
Pirivenu has become University of Vidyodaya, like Cambridge or even Oxford.
Jaipur, best known for its excellence in the Faculty of Management and Commerce, has also proved exemplary in the faculties of Applied Sciences, Humanities and Social Sciences, Medical Sciences, as well as the Faculty of Graduate Studies. It has also laid foundation to open up the Faculty of Technology and the Faculty of Engineering, along with the concept of creating a university village, wherein state-of-the-art facilities and a more promising environment. University is also known to have one of the best library facilities of the country. which has in it resources both updated and also those which cannot be located elsewhere. The university, same as every other state universities of the country, offers its internal students hostel facilities as well as Mahapala and other student scholarship facilities. It is an active career guidance unit, which equips the students with career opportunities and advice around the clock.
Water Research Center, Cancer Research Center, Center for Nanotechnology, Biotechnology, Biomedicine, with the collaboration of Japan and India, and also 2 centers, one for Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, and the other one for Business.
In terms of extracurricular, the university has invested a lot of time and effort in uplifting the sporting abilities of its students, thus paving the way towards having fully fledged sporting arenas and areas. Results of this commitment, by both the administration, and especially the sportsmen and women, have been seen throughout the past years, in terms of emerging champions in Sri Lanka University Games. Japura, most of all, will teach its disciplines humanity, it'll teach them the beauty of diversity, it'll teach them tolerance, and most of all it'll teach them people. Therefore this university, with its luscious greenery, long walks, air and beautiful people, is indeed a hub of universal education.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So as we are gradually nearing the closure of the inauguration ceremony, we would also like to remind you that following the inauguration ceremony, we would be having the poster sessions, which will be showcasing the research work of the undergraduates of the Department of Estate Management and Valuation. While we invite you to stay tuned with us until the end of the program, next, my cordial invitation goes out to the co-secretary of the conference to deliver the vote of thanks in order to mark the concluding remarks of the inauguration ceremony of the ICREMV 2020. And without further ado, let me invite Mr. Terence Gunawardena to do the honors. Over to you, sir.
Good evening to everyone, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have really enjoyed the inauguration session of 4th International Conference on Real Estate Management and Valuation. It is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of the ICREMV 2020 Organizing Committee, let me call it fraternity of real estate practitioners here together, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the speakers for gracing your important work and sharing with us your thoughts today. A big thank you to Professor Andrew Baum, Professor of Practice at the Said Business School, the University of Oxford, for your excellent speech on the contemporary theme, Challenges for Real Estate, Technology, Climate and Health. Your years of research, your depth of understanding of the impact of innovation and technology on the global real estate industry, property funds research, and your ability to present the subject in such an interesting way produced one of the most memorable evenings in the conference history. Thanks again for creating a truly memorable evening. We hope you will join us again. Next, I must mention our deep sense of appreciation towards the chief guest, Senior Professor Sampath Amaratunga, Chairman of the University Grants Commission Sri Lanka, for remarks you made at this inauguration session. We all inspired by your great words. Thank you very much, sir. Further, we are grateful to Senior Professor Sudanta Liyanage, Vice Chancellor, University of Sri Jayewardenepura, for the compendious speech you made to the conference audience today. It was very interesting to hear about your thoughts and views. I also wish to express my gratitude for all your support in making this event a success. Next, I may like to express our sincere thanks to Professor P.D. Nimal, Dean, Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce. It seems everyone wants me to express our appreciation for your inspiring speech today. Also, we are most thankful for you for your enormous support in the organization of this event. I also wish to express my gratitude to Dr. Upuli Pereira, Head Department of Estate Management and Valuation, for all your effort in making this event a success. We are thankful to have a leader like you. I am also very grateful to Senior Professor Chair R.G. Arivansa for your valuable thoughts and the guidance as usual for the development and success of this year conference as well. Thank you very much, sir. And also we would like to acknowledge our gratitude to Dr. Nishani Vikramaraji, Director, Center for Real Estate Studies, for everything you have done for the development of the Center for Real Estate Studies. Next, I also extend my thanks to deans of other faculties, department heads, and all lecturers for their participation. Dr. Pratap Kalutantri, Chairman, ICREMV 2020, set the tone for the year by helping us to organize a successful conference. We appreciated your unfailing attention to detail. We all, the last minute snags, we worried that something would fall through the cracks, but you anticipated very contingency. Several participants commented on how well you have organized the conference. So let me thank you for your hard work. Thank you very much, sir. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on records our hearty thanks to Dr. Lakshmi Karunaratne, co-secretary of the conference, for her contribution and all the academic members of the department and the efficient, hardworking and trusted conference committee members for guidance and perfect logistic support they have extended to all of us at the inauguration session. Also, I extend my thanks to authors, paper presenters, reviewers, session chairs, students and poster presenters, sponsors, and the university administration for their participation and enormous cooperation in the organization of this event. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues of Government Valuation Department, Urban Development Authority, Colombo Municipal Council, Institute of Valuers Sri Lanka, and RICS Sri Lanka, who knew their job and are result oriented. Also, I am very thankful to the administration of all collaborative institutions for all the support. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I want to state that we are all grateful to everyone. We thank you for being with us this evening. It has been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thus marks the conclusion of the inauguration session of the ICREMV 2020 organized by the Department of Estate Management and Valuation. However, this is not the end of today's agenda because like I mentioned you earlier, at the end of this, we will be having poster sessions which will be showcasing the research work of the undergraduates of the Department of Estate Management and Valuation. So we invite you to stay with us as we have plans to start the poster sessions by 3:50 p.m. where we will be actually dividing you into breakout rooms. So you will be automatically directed to a breakout room and into 3 separate rooms. We hope to divide this audience where the research work of the undergraduates will be reviewed by 3 independent reviewers. And at the end of these sessions, we hope to select the best posters out of these undergraduate presentations. So we would very much like you to join these sessions as well, since your input, your feedback, and the comments that you have to give for these undergraduates will be actually very helpful for these budding researchers in shaping their future research work. So having said that, ladies and gentlemen, so we had the intention of providing a platform through this inauguration program to open a dialogue, open a discussion for the innovations, trends, challenges, and opportunities that are emerging in the real estate management and valuation field. And we hope we have provided a very good introduction for this, and we do invite you to join with us on the latter sessions of this conference program as well, which will be going for 3 more days. And with that invitation, we would like to thank all of you very much for joining with us for the inauguration program today. And here's an open invitation once again to stay tuned with us for the poster sessions of the undergraduates. In a short while, you will be directed to a breakout rooms, and should you have any technical concern which you would need us to address, please do not hesitate to type in a message on the chat and let us know the difficulty that you're experiencing. And also we would like to remind that at any point, if you should feel like you want to leave the breakout room, you can do so by clicking on the leave breakout room option. And having said that, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed the session and that we have served you fruitfully. Once again, have a very good evening. Thank you.